We're up and running. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to They Came From Below. It's Tom, very lowest of men here of 6++, and I'm back with my, as it turns out, GSC collaborator, Danny Porter from Try Hard Wargaming here as well. Danny's back again. He did such a good job last time. We really had a lot of fun talking Bruisos. I just thought, well, there's no point me pretending I know anything about GSC when I can get Danny on. Danny's been doing a lot of hard reps with the GSC. And then we get
spend an hour this time, though, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think this will be quick and snappy because we've got a data slate, and obviously we're trying to work through the factions, talk about what the data slate means. And I think Danny and I, it's interesting in our conversation last time Danny was on, were saying we weren't sure about points buffs for GSC. We weren't sure whether that was something the faction needed, but it's certainly something they got. So we'll take you through that, and we'll think a little bit about GSC and the overall meta, where I think we're probably feeling quite excited, aren't we, Danny? I think that's fair to say.
I think we're all feeling pretty good, if I'm honest. We're all happy.
Definitely. Yeah. So let's say you've got a document open. You've saved my bacon here. So what were the headline changes in terms of the points for GSC themselves, Danny?
So, good question. So I think actually this is what's really funny is most of the units that everyone's using was actually what dropped down.
Yeah.
So, I think the big one here is probably very unexpected, but everyone was screaming for it. Is the Aberrants going down 15 points for 5?
Yeah, 100%. That's great.
Yeah, and the 10-man not going down, I think, is a fantastic change. So kudos to them for doing that.
That's smart.
Yeah, very smart. The Acolytes and the Neophytes are going down 5 points. The battle line going down is really good because obviously that is our bread and butter, is our battle line. It does everything that we need it. But it was also a case of the problem with the battle line is they often need characters in order to perform. So reducing that tax down by making them cheaper is actually really good. Yeah. And then speaking of characters, fine. All right, so we got 4 characters. I do apologize. 4 characters went down, which was I didn't expect this. So the Benefactress, 100%, 10 points down to 70. That's she was pretty 80 points was quite for that data sheet, but 70 is solid. Amazing character in Host of Ascension. The Primus goes down from 90 to 80.
Yeah, it's very spicy for Host as well, isn't it? Because that's where all the damage is. Yeah.
Very good for Host. Very good for Xeno Creed. Overall very good change because it's a character a lot of people like to use.
Yeah.
The Jekyll Alpha's going down. I think makes sense. It's kind of good. It's kind of not. It doesn't really do much.
It occurred to me that because a lot of lists have sort of gained a unit, I guess if you were going to make one of your plugins in an already solid Outlander list, the Alphas, just to get some rerolls for your shooting and make the Ridge Runners a bit less swingy, it's not terrible. That's about the only case I can think of it, really.
I think 55 points, there's a world where you might just take in any list and think, I'm taking maybe 6 Ridge Runners. Yeah. I do want that rerolls. She's definitely worth it now. Yeah. And my favorite, obviously, going down is the Patriarch.
Yes, this is the best one. It's so good.
In no world is he an 85-point model because he's, the nature of how GSE works, but 75 points is fantastic. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. And the last one, oh my God, I'm sorry, I do forget. And the Icon Ward has gone down to 50, which is spicy, I think. What are your thoughts?
It's an interesting one. No, so I think it's, in the main, I think it's good points adjustments because it's small little tweaks all across. It feels like the list I was writing, you sort of fit one more thing in than you previously did, like one more 75, 80-point unit in the list, which I think is, if you're going to buff an army like this, where you have to be careful, one more unit is okay, how much harm is one more unit doing, right? I think in the context of a lot of the rival armies getting nerfed, it's great. It's really good because playing games with this, it's felt like it's in all the games, even as I was learning it and very ropey. It's felt strong and good. As long as it gets even average res rolls, it's very, very effective. And I think that, clever little touches like the 10 Aberrants not getting cheaper just to avoid a sort of, okay, here are all the Aberrants situation. I don't even know if that is good, but it sees it off. So I think Aberrants being cheaper makes complete sense. I think, certainly probably from the perspective of you and I, Danny, we could probably both think of 1 or 2 units that already feel very good for their points. But I don't think people have that kind of intel on GSC yet. So we've not seen any rises. There's a couple like the Handflame Rackos and the Abominant. If you told me, 5 points or 10 points on that, I wouldn't have batted an eyelid. I would have said, fair enough. Okay,
Kellamorph going to like 65.
Yeah, Kellamorph as well. Yeah.
And the Saboteur going to 70. I'd be like, yeah, that's absolutely
Yeah.
understandable.
Yeah.
Ridge
So I
Runners at
think
75 or a steal as well.
yeah, Ridge Runners as well. So there's a few units where you're like, there are some solid units that work really well, and we're in a good spot that none of those have been punished at all. So it's just a net gain for the army, and obviously one more unit in a GSC list is a unit that can come back 2, 3, 4 times, right? Like so it's a big deal to get another unit. So yeah, overall I think really, really positive, and I think what's cool is that the builds that already have just started to be hashed out, by yourself and others, all work now and work a little bit better, and that's a really exciting place to be.
Absolutely, and with all of these dropping down as well, it means a lot of these. So, for example, aberrants in like Coast of Ascension actually have, I would argue, a good spot now,
100%.
135 points. But it just means that other detachments, why we're not just going to see Biosanctic play, we're not going to see Outlander play. We'll start to see, I think, Xenocreed, take a bit more of a central stage as well, and Host of Ascension,
I agree.
especially with the FAQ update.
Yeah, completely.
Do you remember what that is?
So what are the big FAQ changes for that?
So they've stated that if you do set up Cult Ambush without the marker, so if you come from we shouldn't say from reserves because it's very contended.
It's from ambush, right?
Contentious topic, yeah. If you come from ambush, they've ruled it now that you can use Tunnel Crawler Stratagem, which is really, really big. So you can actually come down 3 inches away if you're using Host of Ascension.
Incredibly powerful.
It's a fantastic change. Before they made that, I was kind of like, I'm not sure I want to take Host of Ascension anymore because of the way they've sort of worded Cult Ambush. But that change is good. There is one other big change, probably worth mentioning as well, is the Brood Surge change.
Yeah. So you can only make a single surge now, right? So that's a big change for the Metamorphs. So I think, I don't know about you, Metamorphs have felt in games to me like a unit that can usually only take one shooting activation and then surge, right? Like if you haven't made contact at that point into any army worth its salt, they probably are dead on the next one anyway, right?
They're not quite the accursed cultists, are they?
No, exactly.
That many shots.
It doesn't feel disastrous for them in the same way that it does for some of the other Surgy units. So I can wear it. I think Metamorphs, ultimately, you deliver them in a whole bunch of ways to get around this a lot of the time anyway. The Surge is always more relevant once you've jammed them than like on their way up the board, right? You're not walking them up in. Exactly. But it's definitely one to keep an eye out for.
Exactly, and I think it also sort of like answers a lot of questions. The question a lot of people has is, should I take pistols or flamers? And a lot of people weighing up the benefits between a little bit more damage or the extra, flat 6. I think this is just a great way of just saying just take flamers now because the flat 100%. 6 is irrelevant. So you can't,
especially guys. There's some 3-inch deep striking little guardsmen out there, and we need to be able to flambe them when they try and get in the way of our charges. Right?
My God.
I think you're going to really want those hand flamers in the front lines because people are going to be trying to block you off with aquilons and all sorts of nonsense.
Exactly, and
honestly, I think in a good place for that.
100%, and I honestly think the biggest winner of this entire MFM is the fact that Aquilons are bloody 90 points.
I mean, let's briefly touch on that as well. In terms of the other armies, obviously, big nerfs to Sisters, nerfs to Thousand Suns, to Drakari. I think what are the other
Dark Angels?
Dark Angels, obviously taking hits.
Black Templars as well, actually.
Templars,
can be a problem, yeah.
So it's quite a range, and obviously the secret missions changed. This is an army that can secret mission, but it also can just build up a big head of steam without secret mission, right? So absolutely. I think probably in the wider game, GSC can be looking at that and going, that's a very positive set of changes.
I think what a lot of people don't always necessarily remember that is you don't necessarily need to get point buffs to get a buff to your army in the MFM. As you say, a lot of these armies that do go down that are actual natural predators of the army, if they get nerfed, it's an indirect buff to GSC. And Thousand Suns actually taking it like behind the shed and popping them off has been a good change. Sisters, Space Wolves, Necrons with like monoliths and stuff. Anything that's kind of a bit of a problem. Bulgrin, as we were mentioning before,
Yeah,
I think Bulgrin taking a hit is really good, and that's because one of the issues GSC has is if it has two ways to win a game. One is either it tables an opponent or it wins by reducing their ability to play the game by
yeah,
like move blocking or just touching, keeping stuff wrapped in combat. And things like Bulgrin were a big problem because you can't necessarily just kill them in one go, or you can't wrap them or stop them moving because they'll kill you.
yeah.
So a lot of these kind of units have been touched. My one biggest concern is Exorcist did not get touched at all.
Yeah, I think Exorcist-based Sisters lists are still pretty brutal.
Yeah.
And Sisters in general probably are still a very tough game. They're one of those armies where, because of the rules that they have, it's so hard to know what the power is going to be like right now.
Exactly. They are like Craftworld, where they have just so many rules on top of rules on top of rules. There's always something that'll get you, but I guess the biggest advice I've got for anybody at this point is do invest in some trucks, because Exorcists will be a problem.
Yeah, I think that's very, very fair. And overall, I mean, I think, I'd be interested to get your take, but I think GSC were just starting to grow into the meta, having just been started to be figured out. I think, as you were saying, we've already seen one slight evolutionary leap that's just starting, people moving away from Outlander and trying Brood Surge because it's got a lot going for it. And I think, as you say, I think we will also see Xeno, Creed, and Host getting tried. So it's possible that this book is about to actually blossom for the first time since coming out. Do you think that's fair?
That's really good. That's really fair, actually. It's kind of nice, isn't it? Because obviously some people have gotten really good success in one detachment. Everyone follows them. They're like, "Oh, this is the only playable detachment." Yeah. But now there's an argument that actually you can play whatever you want. And 100%. I think you'll get some success.
And I think in terms of the slate itself has kind of thrown you a bone, whatever version you want to do. Like, whatever you want to do, there's something now that's a bit cheaper, and there's some reason to have a look at it.
100%. I think one last thing for me is the most exciting news, I think, from today is not even the MFM. It's the fact that they've announced that they're going to look at the Cult Ambush rule.
Yes. Yeah, that's big as well. That's very big. Very curious to see what they do. I'm just starting to finally get over it, right? I've played a few games now. I accept when it's bad. I take it when it's good. I laugh at people when I roll 4s or 5s. All that good stuff. Just like, back again. I think no one can really defend it as a mechanic, right? Because it does have such a say on games, for better or for worse. Mm-hmm. I mean, we talked about it before. Do you think they'll go to like a sort of token type system with it? Do you think they'll get rid of it altogether? What is the plan will be?
So I think the best avenue here is a token based system.
Yeah.
And that's obviously because then you can balance how many tokens you get. You can balance the points cost. As long as they do it appropriately, where if it was token based, 10 aberrants aren't the same value as everything else.
Yeah.
But I'm sure whatever they do, it's going to be better than what we've got now.
I completely agree. So it's very excited. What detachment would you say has got you most excited, Danny? Obviously, you've been playing through them all. Which one do you feel most enthused to play off the back of this slate?
That's a really hard question. That's a really good question. Really hard question. Personally, I think Host of Ascension.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's enough visibility around that. So
I agree.
I think after ITT, I'll start playing around with that.
Yeah.
What about
Host? Host is exciting to me just because it's the one where you can plug all your toys in different ways, and it makes them all better to some extent. Like, that's a real combined arms one. I'm loving Brood Surge just because doing damage and pushing out and controlling space is like, oh yeah, okay, we can do this. It's a big deal. Yeah. So I think Hosts and Brood Surge are the two that have me most excited. Outlander, I am curious to see what happens if you plug, Benefactus into Outlander or get an Alphas running around as well. I think there's some stuff to do there. But definitely anything where I can get some real melee punch going has my attention at the moment.
Nice. That's good then. I hope it goes well for you. I hope you take it to ITT actually.
Oh, I definitely will. I'm very excited about it for ITT. I think I was just looking at the light board and going, can I survive on that? I can try.
I've given up on that. I'm like, I said to my team, like, one of you is going to have to take a gun line because I'm not taking that ball. Sacrifice it. Thank God there's only one.
Yeah, exactly. It helps that there is only the one to deal with.
Yeah.
All right, guys. That's going to wrap us up for now because obviously this is our hot take. We'll be back soon because obviously Danny and I will be playing a bunch of games of this and we'll be back with some thoughts. We want to do a deep dive on some of the other detachments. So maybe we'll be back and cover either Hosts or Xenocreed next to keep the fresh news coming. So we'll get that in the diary and we'll see you all again soon. Bye.
Adios.